What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Chill, where I, Graham Jason Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network. And today we're talking the 2016 WWE Draft edition of WWE The Day Of. You are not only just getting one, but two WWE Network and Chill videos today, just because I have been, as I've said many times before, incredibly backed up for the last 3 or 4 weeks. These videos, I think the draft one I was always going to put up today. The Alexa Bliss one, the James Eigelhart episode of Uncool with Alexa Bliss, I was supposed to put that up earlier this week. I was supposed to put up the WWE 24 Drew McIntyre review earlier this week. I have yet to even fucking watch the thing, just because I've been so busy. So I promise you that will be up at some point. I have been dying to watch it. I just haven't had the time, but hopefully soon. So you're getting 2 Network and Chill videos today. You probably will tomorrow or Tuesday as well. I got to catch up here. There's so much content going up. I got to fucking catch up with everything. I have been watching Storytime. I don't review it just because there's really nothing to review there. But I have been watching those as well, and those are entertaining too. So anyway, this Day Of is from 4 years ago. Very timely. It went up last Sunday, right before Night 2 of the WWE 2020 Draft. The 2016 Draft was the first draft they had done in many years. Since, I think, 2011 was the last draft they had. Now, to be fair, the brand split died fucking years before that. I would say 05, 06 was the last time they really took the brand split seriously. Because, yeah, they had a draft every year, and I fucking loved the drafts from 08 to 2011. The issue with that was that the rosters were always being changed, and people were always switching shows for no reason. Kind of like they are today. Kind of like why the draft every year really doesn't mean anything, because they swap people on different shows regardless, which is stupid. But anyway, this was really cool, though, because this draft was very exciting. They just brought back the brand split. No one really knew where they were going. It was really, really fun. So we hear first from The Miz and Dolph Ziggler on the behind-the-scenes Day of the 2016 draft, talking about how excited they are for the draft, among other people. Charlotte says she's very interested to see what happens with the women, just because she's so close with Becky Lynch, and that was a big story on this episode, that she didn't want to be separated from Becky. Ultimately, they were separated, and I'll get to that later. Sasha Banks said that she was very excited but nervous. We hear from John Cena, who, yes, was a part of the 2016 draft and has not been drafted since, because he's been a part-timer since then. Kind of like The Rock in 02, who was drafted, I think, to Raw or SmackDown. I think SmackDown, but has not been involved in the draft since, because he's a part-timer and kind of shows up where he wants. But Cena says there's a lot of stars now. The NXT stars better be ready for it, because they're about to be drafted as well. Mick Foley, at that point, was the then Raw GM, was just named the Raw GM by Stephanie McMahon the week prior. Said it was surreal to be the Raw GM because he loved being commissioner so much so many years earlier, that this was a new, fun adventure for him. Becky Lynch wonders if there will be on different schedules, the Raw and SmackDown people, and obviously they were. And how Mick Foley was like, oh, we won't be separated for too long. And I forgot who he said he was talking to, if he even named the person. But that person brought it to his attention, Mick, we'll only see each other 4 times a year at the Big 4 pay-per-views. That's it. Unless we do a special show or something, we're not going to be seeing a whole lot of each other. And that's not true anymore, because we have dual-branded pay-per-views. And nowadays, everyone's in the same building. But even before the pandemic, we had dual-branded shows, pay-per-views anyway. So they were always on the same pay-per-view, they were always on the same pay-per-views and whatever for the most part. We hear from the club. I'm surprised they didn't get this out. I'm surprised they didn't cut this part out with Gallows and Anderson, who are now in Impact. They talk about their bond and how they hope to be sticking together through the draft, which, of course, they weren't. We see Cesaro cutting up shirts to potentially wear one of them, but whether it be Raw or SmackDown. He was hoping to go to SmackDown. I remember Cesaro being pretty pissed that he didn't go to SmackDown. He did fairly well for himself on Raw alongside Sheamus in the bar, but he was really hoping to go to SmackDown, I think. John Cena looks at it as an opportunity for people to kind of break out, make the show stronger than the other. He remembers the early days of the brand split, where everyone was trying to be better than the other show. So he knows better than anyone what it's like to be drafted. And he actually debuted in WWE right after the draft in 2002 as part of the SmackDown brand. So Rollins was picked number 1 by Raw, followed by Dean Ambrose to SmackDown. Charlotte was the first woman selected by Raw. I think she was the number 3 pick overall, which is pretty impressive, as the then WWE/Raw Women's Champion. AJ Styles wants to make SmackDown an attraction. Now that's where he ended up as part of the first round. And Finn Balor, we find out, gets drafted at Raw. And they show the reaction, which is the best part of this episode. They show the reaction of everyone backstage. And we actually see Kevin Owens on his phone backstage with a smile on his face, a little smirk, I should say. And you gotta know that he was texting Finn Balor, who he was really close with in NXT. So you know he was definitely texting Finn to tell him, hey, buddy, congratulations, welcome to Raw. And he ended up on Raw with his buddy, too, which was pretty cool. Very bittersweet for Balor to be leaving NXT, but very excited to be on the main roster. We see John Cena drafted to SmackDown, Roman Reigns drafted to Raw, and Roman at that point was still suspended. He didn't return to WWE until that Sunday's Battleground pay-per-view in the main event. He wasn't there at the draft, but he was drafted to Raw. Kevin Owens, we see him in the back, and this was great. There's clapping after every pick. He goes, I'm not clapping until I get picked. That's what he said, which I thought was hilarious. Sami Zayn goes to Raw and says that he thinks that Raw is superior on paper. We see the New Day going to Raw and Sasha Banks as well, and they celebrate about going to Raw. John Cena again talks about the early SmackDown days. Charlotte actually cries when she finds out that Becky's going to SmackDown. And she's happy that Becky gets the SmackDown Blue brand all to herself, but she's very sad. And professionally, it's better for both of them, but personally, it's going to be sad to see them separated because they had been travel buddies for so long. They were called up together. They were on Raw together for about a year. They were on NXT together, so it's going to be hard for her to be separated from Becky. But she calls her rock that year, and that they were always together, but it's going to be sad to see her go. Daniel Bryan picks The Miz, and Daniel Bryan was the then SmackDown GM. The Miz for SmackDown, along with Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, Baron Corbin, and American Alpha. And Miz was none too happy about getting picked so late, especially being the Intercontinental Champion. And the more things change, the more they stay the fucking same, because the exact same thing happened this year. The Club Wars seemed to be pretty pissed about getting separated, and I'm not surprised. They were mad. AJ Styles was shocked that they would split up the club literally a month or two after coming together. I thought that was really dumb. And Gallows and Anderson were never the same after that. They tried again last year, but it just didn't work, and they got fired earlier this year. Sami Zayn confirms that no one knows where they're going, which is a shoot. No one fucking knows where they're going until it's shown on TV. Sami Zayn is shocked that his buddies are with him on Raw. He's happy to be with Finn Balor, Neville, Kevin Owens, all the NXT guys are all on Raw, all former NXT champions as well. Bray Wyatt was separated, or rather surprised about being separated from Braun Strowman. Braun appeared to be pretty pissed about being separated from his Wyatt family brethren, but Bray was shocked. He's like, holy shit, we just lost Braun, and Braun had been with Bray for close to a year by that point. Nia Jax, who had gone from NXT, was very surprised about getting drafted to Raw. We see her reaction, and I'm not a big Nia fan, but it was a feel-good moment for her. She wasn't expecting it. She was on her fucking phone when she got drafted. She was like, holy shit, I actually got drafted. Mark Henry said that it's about time when he got drafted. He was a little pissed that he got picked as late as he did. And to be fair, he wasn't a full-timer. He retired like a year or two after this, so I'm not shocked. They show Kalisto's Lucha Thing promo, which actually I think the Lucha House Party said to him on a recent SmackDown video, like a .com exclusive or something, which is fucking hilarious. But they recap that promo here, and they actually show what happened after the cameras stopped rolling, or after the TV had cut out, and Kalisto was like, the producer was like, oh, great job, everyone, and Kalisto was like, no, that was trash. It's just an amazing promo because it's so fucking hilariously bad. Alexa Bliss cries upon getting drafted from NXT to SmackDown. Carmella and Mojo Rawley got drafted from NXT as well. Matt Bloom says, and I'm not sure how accurate this is, but he says 46 out of the 59 stars that were drafted came from developmental. Again, I don't know how accurate that is, but that's what he said. I'm not sure if that includes NXT, FCW, NXT, OVW, whatever. I'm not exactly sure. But that's what he said, and if so, that's pretty cool. Seth Rollins said that he was very much ready to see people get opportunities that they were owed now that they're separate shows, which did happen. AJ Styles got a run on SmackDown, Becky Lynch, Owens was the guy on Raw for a while, and that would not have happened if there was just one World Championship. I can assure you of that. Sami Zayn said, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity here. That's what Sami said. AJ Styles said that the club will find a way to win, even though they're on separate shows, and AJ certainly did. The club, not so much. Becky Lynch feels that she and Charlotte will be back together, and it'll be an explosion of awesomeness when they reunite down the road. And they did. They found themselves on SmackDown once again in 2017. And then they were on SmackDown together before both were moved to Raw in 2019. So, and they're both out right now, but they're really, really close. So anyway, I thought this was a great episode of WWE The Day Of. It's obviously old and outdated, but it was actually very timely considering that the draft was last week. So definitely check it out. Very timely with the draft stuff over now, but it's still kind of fresh in our minds from last week and the week before. But yeah, I very much enjoyed The Day Of. The Day Of is always great, but this 2016 WWE Draft Edition was also very timely and very enjoyable. All the behind-the-scenes moves of the WWE Draft. Would love to get the same thing from this year's draft. Not sure how likely that is, but it would be really cool. I think they may have done one for last year. I don't remember, but it would be cool to see people's reactions to getting drafted, which you saw it as a shoot here. Like Braun was not happy. Kalisto was not happy with his promo. Cesaro, they didn't show here, but he presumably wasn't happy. Owens wasn't happy with not getting picked early. Charlotte and Becky were a little bit upset about where they were picked as far as where they went. The club were obviously pissed, which was great. So this was good. I would like to see more older WWE Day Ofs. I don't know why they had held on to this footage for so fucking long without airing it until now. That seems a little weird, but I'm glad we're finally getting it. Better late than never. So check it out right now on the WWE Network, the WWE 2016 Draft Edition of WWE The Day Of. Thank you guys for checking out the video. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. We're going to have multiple videos going up a day for the next little while because there's a lot I have to catch up on. You can check out more WWE The Day Of reviews in the description box down below and the playlist entitled WWE The Day Of Reviews. Tomorrow, I still got an Alexa Bliss Uncool with Alexa Bliss podcast review, another Day Of on Clash of Champions, the Drew McIntyre 24. A lot to catch up on, and I will in due time. So have a great one, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week/weekend, depending on when you're listening to this. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.